now that you've brought this up as to what a therapist might look for, what does a therapeutic treatment look like?
Well, having done that kind of looking, which is, are your shoulders level, what kind of rotations do you have in your body, where does the support work through the joints, and where does the support not work through the joints, and which lines, in terms of the anatomy trained lines, which lines have tightened up or are not, don't have sufficient tone to support the body, that kind of thing. We then systematically go through these, in our method, we systematically go through these lines, looking for areas that are stuck. Your thing is called layers of health. We look at the layers of fascia because even though it starts as one net, it's a very complicated origami that turns it into an embryo. It folds and folds and folds upon itself, so that creates the layers in the fascia. So, we don't generally concern ourselves so much with the layer right behind the skin, the dermis, unless somebody's been burned or scarred, but the next layer is the fat, and that can be thick or thin or tied down to the layer underneath it, which is a unitard that goes from the bottom to the top. Oh, stop laughing. It's like you put on pantyhose. I do this in class. It's like you put on pantyhose and then just keep pulling them up until it goes to the top. And we call it the plantar fascia on the bottom of the foot, and we call it the crural fascia in the leg, and we call it the fascia lata in the thigh, and we call it the abdominal fascia and the pectoral fascia. But it's all one unitard that goes from top to toe. We just give it different names.
Sure, yeah.
And,
you have great visuals.
So we address that unitard, loosening that up and loosening up the superficial muscles, and then we go into the core muscles, which would be the muscles on the inside of the leg and up to the pelvic floor and up the belly wall into the diaphragm and into the deep part of the neck and deep part of the spine, and then we have, so it takes 4 sessions to cover the superficial part of the body and 4 sessions to cover the core of the body, and then we have another 4 sessions to integrate the body, which means to bring that into daily life and movement and have it all hang together.
Yes.
Or, in a more cynical view, to clean up the mess that we made in the first date.
Oh, dear. Well, now, I, of course, went for a treatment because I was really, really curious as to what this was all about, and I can really sympathize with or understand the superficial layer, because I think I have loose skin, but you could definitely feel the tension that was, I don't know, either in the fatty layer or the unitard below that one. And so with this protocol, what maybe we should go back up the boat just a little bit. What are the anatomy trains? What is an anatomy train?
An anatomy train is a distinct line of fascia. I call it a myofascial meridian, and they do kind of follow the meridians of acupuncture, although I didn't. This was definitely set up through Western anatomy. I simply said, this started as a game. I was trying to teach students at the Rolf Institute connected anatomy, and as I say, there was just very little about this in the 70s and 80s. So I just said, well, here's a game. This muscle is going this way. What muscle keeps going in the same direction? And just to start having people see longitudinally in the body rather than always thinking of this muscle does this and it goes from here to here.
Yeah.
And so it started out as a game, and then it started to develop into a system, and then I got serious about it. And then I was kind of hit one day like Saul on the road to Damascus, that, oh my God, I could reconfigure what Ida Rolf had taught in terms of her 10 sessions in terms of these anatomy trained lines. And that was too radical to do within the Rolf Institute, so I left on a very friendly basis and started my own school. It's not like I was mad at anybody or anything. I just wanted to experiment with this, and it's been successful. So someday we'll have the great Rolf off and see who's better. But right now, I think they're about equal, and we're all just trying to skin this cat of how do you change shape, and I think there's room for all kinds of people.
Well, I'll volunteer if you need the body for the Rolf off. You could do one side. Well, actually, that's an interesting question. Do they cross the body from left to right, or are they along?
Yes, they do. There are 2 sets of lines. The spiral line, which goes like a kind of double helix around the upper body and then in a big loop down around the arch and back up to the pelvis again. that crosses the midline of the body, and the functional lines, which join one shoulder to the opposite hip that you'd think you'd use in kayaking or throwing a ball.
Yes.
Those are the ones that cross the midline of the body.
Hi there, my name is Nina Wallinder, and I wanted to talk to you about Layers of Health. Layers of Health is a free online community dedicated to investigating holistic and alternative health options. These options can include physical health, mental and emotional health, business health, as well as your spiritual health. So you can join me as I discuss your health concerns with various experts, mentors, and leaders in their fields. And these interviews are offered for free live, as well as during special encore presentations. But if you find one that is particularly interesting to you, you can also purchase it. So you can join me at www.layersofhealth.com, and I'll see you on the calls.